there, this is Chris Reardon. Welcome to United Kingdom Talk, coming to you today from Swinley Forest. Yes, at last, after I spoke to you last time, I thought to myself, how rude was that? You know, promising these programmes from exotic locations all over the world, and then saying to you, oh, well, it's a lot of effort, you know, to do that. So today, I've pulled my finger out, and I am in the middle, in the middle of Swinley Forest, which is in Bracknell, Royal Berkshire. Literally where I am at the moment is about 15 minutes on a bicycle from my house. Now, I dare to say it's probably quicker to walk because there's quite a lot of hills, and it was a bit effort for these tired old legs, boys and girls. But I'm on the top of a hill, and I'm surrounded by beautiful forests. If you're watching the programme, you can see all the trees behind me, and indeed, as I say, I am surrounded. Let me take you around a little bit of what I can actually see from here. Now, this isn't a particularly quiet location, okay, because what's happening, of course, is we're picking up the road from down and kind of beyond far. If I can just explain, as I say, I am just surrounded by trees and ferns and grass, and this is I would say, one of my favourite places. If I could choose somewhere to live, it would be somewhere like this, in a little house. There's my bike, you see, I cycled up here. I've got a blue bike. It's, what is it, a hybrid bike, which is kind of halfway between a mountain bike and one of those racer things. As a child, I always had a racer, but I've got one of those now. So there we are. Alright, you can see going right the way around there. Now, of course, I've moved the camera now. Are you going to be able to see me? But I had all that set perfectly, and then I had this stupid idea of showing you everything. Let me just see if I can see you properly from there. Oh yeah, it's a two-way thing. Didn't you know that? A lot of people, I can see you as well as you can see me, you know. And I've made a little thing out of a branch to stick my microphone on the top and everything. So here we are, our first exotic location. It takes a lot longer to do it like this because you've got to get all the stuff out, get it on the bike, cycle up here, find somewhere nice to do it. As I say, it's not the quietest place in the forest because from this spot you can, and I'm sure you can hear the motorway. That's the M3 motorway going down from below. You can't actually see it, but you can certainly hear it, and now and again you'll probably hear a motorbike or something tearing along at the speed of light, or a lorry. We hear it all up here. There are other parts of the forest where all you hear is birds singing. Maybe a tiny little bit of traffic, but not as bad as it is here. And we'll try and go to one of those spots in a future show. All right, but I've always liked the countryside. Given the choice, I think a lot of people want to either live by the sea or in the countryside. I'd like to live in the middle of a forest like this, like Hansel and Gretel. Eh? Yes, Hansel and Gretel. That's me, isn't it? The old witch who cooks the cookies and bakes children in the oven. I wonder if they'd be any interested in selling those children cookies in the supermarket or something like that. Might be an idea, mightn't it? Eh? What would that be like to live in a gingerbread house? Do you like gingerbread? They're my favourite biscuits. Ginger biscuits. We like those, dear. If you ever want to send any in the post, feel free to do so. Now, I haven't given out the postal address for the show for a while now, so I will indeed do it in this programme, okay? After we've finished off, first of all, the email from David, because we only got halfway. We got about a third of the way through this on the last show. Now, I know what you're thinking. I did that purposely so that you would tune into this show as well. I wouldn't do such a terrible thing. Not to you, dear loyal listener and viewer of United Kingdom. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. You know you can trust me. Look at the eyes. Couldn't you trust me with your life and all your life savings? Maybe I should start sending out those emails to people, you know. Hello, I am, and it's usually some sort of foreign name, isn't it? And recently, my auntie died, leaving me an estate of £250 million. All you need to do is give me your bank details and your PIN number, and I will gladly transfer the money into your account. But I need someone I can trust. Are you the one? If so, please email me with your details to this address. How many of those emails do I get through the post now? I'm sitting on the floor today, by the way. I'm sitting on the forest floor and the earth smells beautiful. Oh, I love it. I love it here. The email address to this show, incidentally, if you want to send any money like that, is... for God's sake, don't send money in the post. The regulators will be down on me like a ton of bricks. But nice letters, things like that, bars of chocolate, packets of ginger snaps, send them immediately to chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. That's the email address, okay? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now the postal address is coming up, so get ready for that. I hope I'm doing this off my head today, because number one, I've forgotten to bring the postal address with me, but I should remember it, and number two, I bought my books, bought my book and my bits of paper, but I haven't bought a pen. So I can't cross out what I've done. Also, I need to time the show, and I know I've got to finish at a certain time, and it's in my head to finish at 06. Now, that doesn't mean anything to you, I know. I need to finish at 06. 06. Oh, I know what I can do. I can write it in the ground, can't I? Just a minute. Just stick there. 06. There we are. I shall remember that now. 06. Make sure it's not too good, but... Now, knowing my luck now, a plane, a rescue plane or a helicopter will go over and see the 06 and think I need rescuing. I mean, what will ever happen next? Suddenly, 3 fit men will appear coming down a helicopter towards me. Oh, I've come over all hot now. Oh, God. Do you think that could possibly happen? Maybe that's what I need to do. Rescue. Oh, hang on a minute, something's gone wrong there. Just a minute, something's gone wrong. Just a minute. Stay there now. Don't move. I know what's happened. The batteries have just died on the camera. So I've got to quickly change the batteries in the camera while I know I shouldn't have bought the supermarket ones. Change the batteries in the camera and carry on. That's what we'll do. Just a minute now. I knew I was taking a risk using those same batteries. So you're still with me, radio people, aren't you? Yes, that's it. It's all very technical here. There's nowhere to plug in out here, you see. We're all on batteries. I'm on batteries most of the time. I am a bit like the Duracell bunny, to be honest. Right, hang on, let's just turn this back on again. Fingers crossed. There we are. Oh, hang on. And you're back, aren't you? That's better. Sorry about that. Just a minute. Let me put you back in position, little video people. There we are. Put that back in position there. I'll tell you what happened then. Your batteries run out. Honestly, the batteries run out on the camera, so I've changed those and you're back with us now, aren't you? Right, for one dreadful... you see, always carry spare batteries. As I was telling the radio people, just where you disappeared for a moment or two there, I am like the Duracell battery. I go on and on and on, as some of you know. Didn't you, eh? Right. On to Dave's, the rest of Dave's email. He was telling us that he wants to resign from a job that he's in at the moment, and he wasn't quite sure to do it. That was in a previous email a couple of weeks ago, and he was responding to that, saying that he is going to quit, and I was advising him not to tell anyone within the company that he's going to quit, because usually you find someone not necessarily doing it in a nasty way, but you can find people quite often who chat, they gossip. Now, you know me, boys and girls, I don't like gossip. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's people gossiping behind people's backs about their goings on and this, that and the other. I mean, it's just dreadful. However, if you have got any gossip, it's the usual email address, all right? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Whatever you do, if you're going to leave somewhere, you've made up your mind to do it, I said this in the last programme, do not tell anyone, okay? Little bit of gossip. Oh, really? They're leaving. And it goes round and then it comes back to you. It's not nice, okay? Don't tell a soul. Put everything in position, and when you've got another job lined up and you've got a starting date and you know the date you want to leave, that's when you tell them. Timing is everything, my darlings. Come on. Am I your friend or not? Huh? I like to think I am. I wouldn't do anything that would be derogatory to your life. Trust me, Don't tell anyone until the right moment, okay? So that's that. And he says, thanks for your advice on your topic. I appreciate it. It helped me out in developing my decision. Yes, and I was also saying, if you're really unhappy in a job, you have to leave. Okay, give the employer a chance. And a letter's what you want. There's no point going to talk to someone. You have to write a letter. Hello, da 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 da. I'm really not happy with da 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 da. Would you please, you know, that sort of thing. Give it time. And if none of your points are responded to or approached, then you have to leave. You've given them a chance. They're not interested. You have to go. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's something that I had to do last September, and I'm much happier for it. Okay? You do the same. But get the other job first. Now, the email from David goes on to approach other subjects. As for your show of June the 5th, he says, I'm pleased to know, I know we did read this bit out, but I'm just going back over it a little bit, okay? So you can grasp the thread again, because we've lost the thread. I lost the thread years ago, as you know. Anyway, as for your show June the 5th, I'm pleased to know that you share my beliefs in punishing criminals. Yes, what we were saying, David and I agree that burglars should have their hands chopped off. Now, you might think that's a bit harsh. Unless you've been burgled. Now, I've been very fortunate for that not to have happened to me. On the other hand, I'm very, very security conscious. Whenever I leave the house, I lock all the doors. All the windows have got locks on. I've got double glazing, a couple of cameras, and pull across gates. And I'm very, very security conscious. It's not because I've got thousands of pounds in the house or special arts, you know, expensive pictures or antiques. Nothing like that. It's my house. And I don't want some tow rag coming in and kind of invading my house. You understand? I wonder, have you had the unfortunate thing of being burgled or mugged or anything like that? What was that experience like? I know it happened to my nan years and years ago, probably way back in the 70s, and she'd been out, she came home, they didn't steal anything, but they threw tomato sauce, tomato ketchup over all the furniture. I mean, for an elderly lady, it must be particularly bad. You often hear the stories of people who pretend to be from a company knocking at people's doors. Can we come in? And then they rob the person. Usually an old pensioner who can't fight back, although some of them do. I love the stories that we get sometimes in the newspaper. It's quite rare. And you hear of a pensioner that's gone after a burglar with a walking stick and whacked him over the head. Good! Good! I love hearing stories of burglars, robbers, murderers who have some terrible accident. Love it. Love it. Good. I'm glad it happened. Serves you right. But how do you feel on the subject of, particularly if you haven't, tell me if you haven't been burgled, and if you have been burgled. You don't have to go into the details if you don't want to, but if you want to share those with us as well, then I'm happy to read them out. As always, if you want to be anonymous, that's fine. Please keep this anonymous. Here is my story. Fine, I'll read out the story, and I won't tell them what your name is, okay? But depending which side of the wall you're on, do you think burglars should just be taken away, chop the hands off? Because I do. So does David, but his girlfriend doesn't. All right? She is actually called us barbaric for desiring such vile tactics. I don't think in my case it's necessarily that I want to hurt the person, although of course it will hurt, I suppose. I want to stop them doing it again. There's so many people go to prison for burglary, come out and do it again. They won't be able to do it with only hands, will they? I reckon I speak for the majority of people. When I talk to people about this, most of them, except this politically correct crew, don't start me on that lot. Oh, you've got to talk to them. It doesn't work, dear. they go out and rob again. I wonder sometimes if these people themselves, or perhaps their parents, were robbed. The politically correct people who say we shouldn't do that, would they change their minds? How do you feel about that? Do let me know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. David also goes out to say, I can't say she didn't insult me with that comment. However, it got me thinking about using barbaric tactics as a last resort to establish Reardon Town. Well, I don't know so much. You see, the only people that would live in, we're all considering, that's United Kingdom Talk friends and listeners and viewers, we are considering moving into a brand new town. We're going to buy a town and all move there. Now, I don't believe for one moment that we have any of those sort of people watching this programme. We might have people that did it in the past, but people who have changed their ways and are now nice, law-abiding citizens. What do you reckon, eh? That's what I reckon. I don't think that anyone in Reardon Town would be a bad person, except, of course, me. David says, if we work on developing a large amount of muscle mass... Oh, I don't know if that's going to work with me. I do appear to be developing bingo wings, as they know. That is where the muscle hangs down instead of a... I used to have lovely muscles up here. They've gone. I gave up. You know, I told you I gave up about 3 months ago. I'm fed up chasing this thin thing all the time. And then I now go out and have pasties and crisps and bars of chocolate. Yeah, I'm 12 stone 6, okay? 12 stone 6. And I seem to be hanging just around that level without actually doing much about it. So if I eat more or eat less, it seems to hang around 12 stone 6 all the time. So I'm assuming now that's my correct weight. I do manage to get down to 11 stone 6, but to get to that, I kind of have to cut out all the bread and all the chocolate and all the crisps. And it doesn't make you happy, does it? And the point is, did anyone more chat me up when I was thin? The answer's no. I've learnt that now. The answer is no. No one more chatted me up when I was thinner. So what's the point? Come on, what's the point? I'm fit. I do lots of walking, lots of cycling, lots of swimming. We need it for the heart once you go over 40, dear. Back to the email. Now, he was saying, yes, we need to work on developing a large amount of muscle mass. Well, I'm all for that. I'm all for having a load of lads around here with muscle mass. I am. Enhance our knowledge of battle tactics. What, you up for a fight, dear? What's your problem? You're a little bit fighting, aren't you? Fighting talk here. Is that what you need, a fight? We got to keep the plebs out. That's what we've got to do. He says we might be able to develop an army of barbarians or Vikings, and we can trek forth and start conquering a small country as opposed to a large city. Now, why would you want to do that, dear? We don't need to go out conquering other people's lives and throwing them out of their country, dear. We need to club together and buy somewhere. There's plenty of lovely places that are uninhabited. The Highlands of Scotland, beautiful. Is it a bit windy? Can you hear that wind? It's got a bit chilly up here. Conquering a small country, honestly, what are you like? In fact, we could utilise... it's getting windy. 1 minute, let's wait for that wind to die down, shall we? I tell you what, it's getting a bit cloudy as well. I hope it doesn't start raining. I've got no protection at all here from the elements. But then again, as it says here, I am a Viking now. The Vikings, the Vikings. He says, in fact, we could utilise your employment under the Golden Lion as your base of recruitment. Imagine the possibilities, yes. I suppose when I'm at the Golden Lion on Mondays and Wednesdays, now that's it's a little pub in King's Cross, Britannia Street, King's Cross, Monday and Wednesday nights I'm there, sort of between 8 p.m. and 12 midnight. I suppose I could get there earlier and set up a desk. You know, a little sign. Do you remember those old signs years and years ago in war times, we had that man with a moustache pointing, he said, "We need you in the army." Do you remember that sign? We could have something like that, but with perhaps myself standing there. Would that work? "We need you for Reardon Town." But I don't know about armies. I'm not convinced that we need an army. He says, "We could eventually have a Reardon country where we could thrive independently by developing our own sources of food, energy, and most importantly, faithful following of fans for your daily broadcasts." Oh, I like the sound of that, dear. Actually, that is one of my... I think one of my ambitions now is for this show to become daily, perhaps Monday to Friday. There's no way that I could give up the time to do that at the moment, especially now we've started doing these little special bits outside and things like that. It does take a long time. This 1 hour show, okay, will probably take about 3.5 hours to put together altogether. Alright, that's how long it takes. You come out, you position, you look for somewhere to do the show, you position all the equipment everywhere, you do it, you close it down, you put everything back, you have to travel back to the Mirable studios, put it all together, upload it. It does take an hour show. If you were wondering how long does a show take, an hour show, I suppose, well, an outside show like this would take about 3.5 hours, okay? A show done in the studio would take about nowhere near as much, probably about half the time, about 1 hour and 3/4, okay? So when I do a show from in the studio, an hour show takes about 1 hour and 3/4 by the time, maybe 2 hours, by the time you've stuck it all back together and uploaded it to the computer places and sent it around to various different sources, all right? Our own sources of food, yes, of course, we will need people to grow things. Now, I'm a little bit good at growing tomatoes. Oh, yes. For years, now, I haven't done it for a couple of years now, but for years, certainly as a child, believe it or not, it was when I was about 14 years old, I started growing tomato plants. I don't know why I did that. I think one of the reasons was Mum liked tomatoes, so I thought I'd grow her some tomato plants. And I used to have, we only had a balcony, okay? We had a flat with a long balcony, and all along this balcony were pots. And I would grow these tomato plants from seeds. So I'd buy a packet of tomato seeds, and I'd plant them in a little tray and water them, and they'd start coming up, and you'd get the two, like, oblong leaves first, didn't you? Okay? And then at that point I would then split them up and plant them individually in their pots. And I would care for them so well. I really would. I'd water the pots, keep an eye on them, and of course as they grew, and I'd put the sticks in, and then you get the green fly killer, and give them all a spray with that. And we used to have loads and loads of tomatoes just from these pots on the balcony. There's a great sense of achievement to doing that, actually growing your own food. The funny thing is, at the time I didn't eat, I like tomatoes now, but at the time I wouldn't touch them. I was the typical child, you know, wouldn't touch anything green or that was good for you, no fruit or anything like that. Oh, I thought I heard someone coming along. There is actually a path that runs at the bottom of this hill, and I don't know how I'm going to react if someone walks past. I think, who's that mad bloke up there talking to himself? But I'm not. I shall tell him. Don't worry. I shall tell them I'm talking to you, dear. You. There are people there. And he will say, where are they? They're at the other end, dear. And he'll say, what other end? And I'll say, go away, dear. That's it. Yes, so we could develop our own sources of food. Yeah, I quite like to grow my own food again, I suppose. My garden, it's not tiny, but it's not enormous. I mean, I don't suppose really on my garden I've got enough room for... I probably could actually have a little vegetable patch somewhere. But of course it means taking up the lawn, doesn't it? And I like my garden. Round the edges, it's all a bit wild, and there's a corner there that I just leave, and it's all bushy, and I love my garden. Love my garden. Our own sources of energy, well, of course, I've got my solar panels. When we do buy our town, then I will have to insist that all the houses are covered with solar panels, and we'll have a few of those very large wind turbines. Now, I know there are people now shocked and horrified at the thought of a wind turbine in front of their window. Let me tell you, they are not ugly things. They are not particularly noisy. They are beautiful, beautiful towers of free energy. They are. Remember the old... I honestly don't think wind turbines are ugly. They're not. So we've got the solar panels, we'll have the wind turbines. Oh, it's going to be marvellous. It will be marvellous. Also, own source of food energy. Let me see. On top of that, David says, I feel we could grant you the new title of Chris the Conqueror, which I feel has a certain ring to it. I don't like it. No, you're putting me on a pedestal, David. Please take me back into the gutter where I am happy. That's where I belong, in the gutter, David. Do not build me up with names like that, please. Chris the Conqueror, honestly, dear. What will we have next, eh? He says. As for calling your garden a hovel, yeah, do you remember that? What a cheek. I remember that in a previous email. I'm getting a bit uncomfortable sitting on the floor here. David actually called my garden a hovel. What a cheek, dear. That is a liberty, that is. He says, it's getting very windy out here. Hope you can hear me all right. He says, I meant no offence. Being that I grew up on a farm of 1,100 acres, how beautiful. Any plot located in a city is nothing in comparison to what I was raised on. Oh, that must be nice. Being surrounded by all that land and being able to tend to all the plants and just coming out there in your own bit of land and, you know, listening to the birds singing and the wind in the trees. He says, being that I've resided in a city for the last 8 years, I can just understand how you city boys can handle this lifestyle. Well, Bracknell is a large town, all right? It's not a town like many I know. We are here surrounded by the trees and the forest. And as I say, the particular spot I'm in now is just stunning and only 10 to 15 minutes away from my house. It's beautiful here. So I wouldn't say that I live in a city. Of course, I used to live in London until 1987 in various different parts. South. Roehampton, where I lived, well, there we were very close to a beautiful park called Richmond Park. And I did have views of the park from my bedroom window. Now, I'm actually not sure that they've still got those views, because, and I tell you, and we were on the top floor. It was a top floor, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they were masonettes, so they're one house on top of the other. My bedroom was on the top, and I used to overlook into Richmond Park. I'm not sure that they've actually, whoever owns that house now has actually got that view anymore, because they were doing a little bit of building in front of there a little while ago, which I noticed when I drove around the area, which I often do. If I'm visiting Mum and Dad's grave, I often drive around the area where I used to live and see how things have changed. David says, the lack of privacy in a city, constant noise of vehicles and the rampant door-to-door salesman women is enough to drive a person insane. Yeah, well, it is. It is. He says, how do you cope with all this? Well, you must mean when I used to live in London. It's... If you've always lived there, I think you're just used to it. It doesn't really bother you. But now, when I stayed in Sydney, in Australia, I stayed in the city. And I found that quite difficult. Having the cars going past the hotel room all the time, and the lorries first thing in the morning, I wouldn't like to live in a city again. Really wouldn't. I like it peaceful and quiet, away from the roads. I reckon I could cope with a train going past, trains. And certainly where I live, I'm under the Heathrow flight path. And I have a lot of planes going across there. Don't bother me in the slightest. I'm sure you've heard, certainly while we've been doing the shows outside, since the beginning of summer. I'm sure you've heard many planes going across, and they really don't bother me. They don't keep me awake or anything. He says, I have to admit, I miss the rolling golden fields. I bet you do. The open terrain, the fresh air, and the freedom to do as I wish without restrictions. However, since I have developed my glutton allergy, moving back to a grain farm is an impossible feat. So I guess we'll have to continue suffering in city life. It's a shame, isn't it? Awful when you have... It is an allergy. It's almost the disability, isn't it? The fact that you're not able now to live where you'd want to live. That's a shame, that is. I'm sorry about that. He says, speaking of farm life, out of curiosity, have you ever tried prairie oysters? What on earth are prairie oysters? It seems everyone I have met recently in the city is disgusted by the thought of devouring breaded cow... Oh, they're not, are they? I'm not even going to say the word, not on this programme. All the cow's bits. Oh my God. David, what subjects are you bringing us for us to discuss? No, thank you. I'm not even going to tell you where they are, people. I'm not. David says, I actually quite enjoy them. Add some tongue to the mix and you have yourself quite a meal. Then again, I enjoy foods like that. In fact, after hearing the show where your friend Bob the Viking was discussing his various Icelandic foods, I found it very interesting and it was enough to make me hungry. Anyway, got a rung. Ta-ta for now from Dave. Oh, Dave. The email was going all right up to that point, dear. Some people enjoy some strange foods. They really do. I've got to tell you, I can't remember if I told you this in the last show or not. On Monday at the Golden Lion, I always get a free meal there. And they decided to try me with a Chinese stir-fry. And I hated it. I took one mouthful and I was down to McDonald's. It's just not my cup of tea at all. We all like different... I'm really not adventurous at all with foods. Never have been. From the word go, I've never been adventurous with foods. I did try a curry for the first time last year, and I really liked it. I have to say, I really liked it, and ever since then, I've been... Well, I've only had curries at the Golden Lion where they cook them for me, so I know the people that are cooking them and all that. I'm so funny with food. I did try a bit of a Chinese stir-fry. I hated it. Nasty little bean spouts and... Oh, it was horrible. Didn't like it. Didn't like it. Do you like anything unusual food-wise? Huh? Yes, you I'm talking to, do you? Let me know. Usually email chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Alright? Postal address coming up now as well. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. The sun's come out, so I'm just going to put my sunglasses on. The postal address is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG 429ED. Alright? Once again, it's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG 429ED, United Kingdom. Okay, that's if you're listening on the radio, you haven't got internet access. But of course, if you have got internet access, easiest way to do it, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Got to say hello to Robert. Hello, Robert, who leaves a little message, I think, on the YouTube site. That's the video sides of things, and says, Chris, you are a lovely man. Perhaps you should advertise a man for yourself on your broadcast. and he says you need to find other hobbies. You're having a laugh, innit? Thank you for the little message there, Robert. Other hobbies, you're having a laugh, aren't you? Where on earth have I got time to find time to do other hobbies? There are loads of things I'd like to do. There really are. I've said before, I'd like to drive a bus. I'd like to work on the railways. I'd like to go to other countries on one of those perhaps charity missions and help people who have got nothing. You know, starving children in Africa, or building wells in places that don't have water. I'd like to do so many things. Of course, the older people watching the programme would say to me, well, get on and do it, time is running out. But my biggest problem is not letting go of things. I have things and I don't let go. And I should just let go and move on to something else, shouldn't I? I really should do things like that. I'd like to work on a cruise ship. So many different things I'd like to do, hobbies, but it's finding time to do them. Finding time to do them. It's just, I don't know. What do you reckon I ought to do? Send us an email and let me know. What would you do? Have you got various aspects of your life in the past? Let me take you back a little bit. Have you got to take you back to I think, has that video gone off again? I think it has. Just a minute. Oh dear, we're not having much luck today, are we? 1 second now. Oh, let me have a look. We really are not having much luck today with this. It's gone off again, dear. Sorry. Have a look there. Why does that keep going off like that? Is it can it be the batteries? I don't know. Yeah, let's try that again. Oh, I lost you again then, didn't I? For some reason the put you back in there. That's it. We're not having much success out here, are we? I've got a feeling that's going to go off again. I don't know how long then you were without us, video people, but you're back again now. Yeah, can I take you back perhaps? Is there anyone listening or watching who perhaps kind of had another life, a job, perhaps lived somewhere, and gave it all up and moved away and started all over again? Did you do that? I'm not suggesting that I should start all... Well, I suppose I am, really. Because the kind of job... Oh, that's gone off again. That's gone off again. Just a minute. This is disastrous today, isn't it, eh? It's a good job the radio thing works all right. All I've got left now is 2 more batteries. This is a joke, isn't it? Oh, it's all so hopeless. So hopeless. I thought they were good batteries as well. There's the lesson there, is always use new batteries. I think that's what we've got to do. Right, let me just put some new batteries in here. So it's a good job the radio thing's here as well, isn't it? Otherwise we'd be in a terrible state. I haven't got time to start the whole thing again, dear. Now, where's my little right, what I'm doing is screwing something on the bottom of the camera here, because that kind of keeps it in position. Oh, I've lost... Where's the... Oh, dear me. Just a minute. Right. What it is, the camera has got a thing screwed into the bottom, and that's what holds it on its little tripod while it looks at me. You see? You know, I said to you earlier, it takes about... To do this show today is going to take me about 3.5 hours. It's actually going to take more than that. 1 minute. Right. That bleep, incidentally. Hey, you're back again. Oh dear, we keep getting cut off video side of things, don't we? Hang on a minute now. Let's put that in there. Oh, that's it. In you go. Right. Yeah, are you with us? Yes, you are. Sorry, what's happening. I think what's happened is that I didn't have new batteries in the video, and I've changed them 3 times now, so hopefully you're going to stay with us till the end of the show, video people. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything, nothing important. Oh dear me, that's 3 times that camera's gone off, isn't it? Now, where was I? Oh yes, You know, I said to you at the beginning of the show, this show is going to probably take about 3.5 hours. I reckon it's a lot longer than that now, because the camera's gone off 3 times, which means you have to join everything together and put the sound together. This is going to be a nightmare. This is going to be a nightmare putting this show together today, I tell you. Oh my God, what's that? It's a wasp. Oh, right. Did you have kind of a previous life where you decided, right, that's enough of that, and you gave it all up and started something out? Did you do that? How did you? Were you scared to do that? This is the position I'm in at the moment. Everything's ticking around fine. Money's coming in. Jobs are reasonably. They're all right. But in some of the jobs, I'm bored. I am so bored. My mate, and I don't like to blow my own trumpet, my mate Justin, who runs the steam coach, he says I'm bored because I'm good at it. But you start to kind of think to yourself, you've got one life. Am I doing this now for other people and not for myself at all? If I'm not enjoying certain jobs, what's the point? Do you see what I mean? That might even sound a bit selfish, I suppose. Should you carry on doing things, certain things, just because other people like them, without actually getting much out of it yourself? I don't think you should. You see, so we're at the point here. Where's the tipping point? Where's the tipping point? Another good friend of mine, Wayne the butler, of course, who you know, he reckons in certain things that I do, something will happen. Don't know what. Something will happen, and then one day I'll just chuck it up in the air, like, that's enough, and walk away. That's what Wayne the butler thinks I'm going to do. I don't know. If you've got any suggestions on there, see, I need your help now. Don't I? What I love doing is getting emails of people asking what I think about various things, what should be done, like David with his job. But this time, let me turn it around. What do you think I should do? This little show, I could do so much more with it if I was not doing some of the jobs that I do. For example, if I did go on one of those cruise ships, can you imagine that? We could go to a different country every day and do a show. Huh? Or the starving children in Africa. If I went to do something like that, I could do a show from there as well, and it might open your eyes into what actually goes on. We always see programs on the television, and they're professionally made, of course, but I sometimes wonder, do we get the whole picture from some of these programs, or is it cleaned up for you and I to watch it? Because if I did a show, it would be in the raw. You would see it as it's going on, or hear about it from my chats. Interesting. What do you reckon? What do you reckon I should do? Let us know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I've got to say, because these batteries have gone 3 times on the show today, I'm really not looking forward to putting this show together. The radio side of it will be easy to do, right? Because that just is one long thing, and then you put it all together. It's the video thing. This is going to be difficult this afternoon, but I shall do it. It's a bit of a I like a challenge, you know that. I'm challenged to do this today. Mentally challenged, you're probably saying, aren't you? Yeah. Hello to Wayne. It's Anonymous. Incidentally, Wayne, I hope your mum got the DVD okay. It was Wayne's mum's birthday. She was 88 a few shows ago, and Wayne's mum, I don't think she's got a computer. I don't think she watches the show or indeed listens. So what I did for Wayne's mum, as he requested, I put the show on a DVD, and she should have that in the States now. I hope she's seen it, and I hope she liked that, all right, including my rendition of Happy Birthday at the piano. Wayne says, hello Chris. You remember we were saying about we were talking about human gas again the other day. Human gas, okay? Hello, Chris. Enclosed for your inspection is my solution to prevent innocent bystanders from being offended by gas passers. Simply place one of these activated charcoal filters at the back of this type of boxer brief, pull the briefs on, and any foul smells escaping will have to pass through the filter, removing the aroma before passing it into the environment. Problem solved. I shall not dignify your earlier comments about my suggestions with any further response, nor shall you receive a commission on any patent royalties. Bye for now from Anonymous. And he sent in a picture of a charcoal thing and some pants. Thank you for that one, Wayne. Always great inventions and suggestions our Wayne comes out with. There must be something around like that, mustn't there, for people who do have a problem with passing wind all the time? Some sort of charcoal filter that you can put in your shorts or trousers, eh? Now, what time were we supposed to finish? It was 06, wasn't it? You see, I've remembered. Hello to Carl. It's our mate Carl in Yorkshire, who says, "You are numpty." He says, "That's what you are, seriously, dear. You can't even pronounce something correctly," he says, "when I spell it phonetically, as you simply read out the phonetics and didn't join them together. Have attached an audio file to help you. Visodin. You said you knew what zip file was." He says, "Well, another name is a zip archive." Well, what's a zip archive then? Which is what I've called it. Anyway. You see, you're still not explaining this, Carl, how other listeners... You're explaining this for technically apt people. Joy in Acton is a pensioner. She is over 80 years old and she hasn't got a clue what things mean when we talk about technical things, which means that there must be other people out there who don't understand. When you talk about these things, you must explain them so that everyone can understand. And here is your explanation, you see. Hello, dog. You said you knew what a zip file was. Well, another name is a zip... Oh, we've got a dog come to visit. Is this your dog here? Come here, boy. We've got someone walking their dog down there, which is great. Anyway, a self-extracted one basically removes the need for the person downloading it to have a program installed to handle the zip file. Although most now have one that comes with a computer's operating system anyway. You see, Carl, I understand what you're saying now. I do actually understand that. Joy won't have a clue. Joy, to explain, a computer's operating system is something that's on a computer that makes it work and do the things that it does. A bit like... Let me think. The element in an electric oven and the switches are all things on there that make it work. Okay? A computer's operating system is the bits and pieces, kind of the software bits and pieces that make it work. A zip file, Joy, a zip file is a file that's been made smaller and put in a little package and then sent to someone so that it doesn't use up as much space, and then when it gets to the other end, it's unzipped and it bursts out of its little package. Okay, Joy? That's what that is. So that's how you have to explain things to people, Carl. It's all very well you being clever, dear. How dare you use my term dear in your email? What a liberty. How are we doing on time? We've got an email here from Suko, which I'll probably hold on to the next show because it's quite long, and we like long emails from Suko. So thank you very much for those. A couple of other bits and pieces I've got for you today, though. Watching the news just before I came up here, the BBC News, and I was saying, certainly here in the UK, that we are short of farmers. Not many people are now going into farming, And that's such a shame, I think. Is that a job I'd like to have done? Possibly. It's very, very hard work. Farmers get up very early in the morning, and if I'm right, I'm sure they go to bed fairly late at work. It's just one long day. And farmers that look after, that's just the farmers that look after the growing things. What's that? Is that arable? Is it growing? You know, when they're growing food in fields, I think that's arable farming. What about the farmers that look after animals? Cows, pigs. What a life that is. Because the cows have to be milked. You can't, if you're in bed with flu or something, you can't just leave them. They have to be milked. Or if cows are not milked, they become very sick, don't they? They become very ill. A farm cannot stand still, ever. And apparently we are very short of farmers at the moment. What would it be like to be a farmer? Has anyone been a farmer? Have you been a farmer? Or do you know of any farmers? What is their life like? Yeah, okay, you have the beautiful open countryside, which I adore, as you know. But it must be a blooming hard life. Although, I think I'd like to have done it. It's another thing I might like to have done. Being a farmer. How long would I have done it for? I don't know. Don't know. They're short of farmers. There is apparently a big decline in the amount of people that want to farm. Shame, innit? Someone's got to do it, or what are we all going to eat? Would you like to be a farmer? Is that a job you'd like to do? Hard work. Very hard work. Let us know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, it was interesting. While I was showing that little clip about the farms and all that, they showed you some pigs, and the bloke went to feed the pigs. And I always thought pigs like scraped around on the ground and ate grass and things like that. Well, they were all in a shed. No, it was quite a big. They seemed to have quite a lot of space. And what a lovely these little pigs walking around here. I mean, you feel guilty eating a bacon sandwich, don't you? Eh? You do. You feel guilty putting a couple of chops under the grill. You do. But the farmer came in, and he had this big plastic packet of stuff. Okay. Which he opened and then poured into this trough. But it just looked to me like grey dust. I don't know what they were eating, but it didn't look very tasty to me, dear. It looked horrible. Has anyone, because I don't know what that is, has anyone got a clue what that could have been? As I say, it was a big packet of grey stuff. And it looked like grey, some sort of grey powder. And he tipped it into the pig trough, and the pigs all came over and started eating from it. I mean, it didn't look very pleasant at all. Really didn't look nice. Anyone got a clue what that is, this grey stuff that the pig was eating? Do let me know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right? Oops. Now, also on the news today, it seems that we're having this interview with this bloke. Now, what was his name? I wrote it down. Eduardo Lopez, who I've got to say came across as being one of the most uninteresting, boring people I've ever seen on the television. He was some sort of energy environment minister, okay? And they were having this discussion about the fact that oil prices, certainly here in the UK, oil prices continuing, of course, to go up, pushing petrol up, pushing diesel up, which is quite popular here in the UK as a form of fuel. But what's happening is that people are now being pushed onto public transport. If you ask me, that's a good thing. My personal experience of public transport is restricted to off-peak times. I've gone into London using the trains. On the very rare occasions I've used buses, it's in the late morning, early afternoon. Okay, so I don't use public transport during the rush hour. I gather it's particularly bad at this time. Nevertheless, it seems since these oil prices started shooting up, we are now at last using cars less. No one likes high oil prices. When I first bought my car, I could fill it up for just over £30. I've just filled it up today and it cost me £46. That's in the space of 2 years. That's a hell of a jump. A hell of a jump. The reason I went to fill it up actually is because recently we had a tanker strike, and I gather we've got another one coming up for a few days. And of course they tell everyone it'll be okay as long as you don't panic buy. Well, of course you tell people that, the first thing they do is rush out to the petrol station and fill up their cars, isn't it? If you don't want people to panic buy, you shouldn't tell them that. It's the word. No one believes the government when they say that, do they? The first thing I did, I went straight up there because I know later on today, now that that's been on the news, I know people will try and fill up on the way home from work and there'll be queues a mile long outside these petrol stations. Worst thing you can do. Anyway, this bloke they were saying, Eduardo Lopez, was talking about it all. He's got to be the most boring person I've ever seen interviewed. He didn't even smile once. Really boring. Anyway, listen boys and girls, I'm going to have to go now. It's going to take me ages to put together the video side of this show today, but I shall do my best. As always, thanks for watching or indeed listening to the show today. Do join in by email. It's always great to hear from you. The email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. What's the public transport like in your country, wherever you are or wherever you are in the UK? Let me know. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I'll see you on the next show. Thanks a lot. From myself, Chris Reardon. Bye bye now.